So they call you the world's most influential Eurovision viewer. How in the world did you and I, two boys from America, become obsessed with this song contest?
Isn't it crazy, Ernie? I ask myself that all the time. I looked in this rabbit hole and then I just got properly sucked in. And for me, I have to blame my boyfriend. Well, now husband. But at the time, 2007, he said, "We've got to go to this Eurovision party." I was like, "Eurovision? It sounds like an eye disease." And he told me, "No, this is not an eye disease. This is a musical event. Olympics meets beauty pageant meets figure skating. Star Spangled Booty. Everything you Americans love." And I watched and I was hooked.
Yeah, it is funny to me that it hasn't really caught on in this country. And we had some good steps forward. We did have the Will Ferrell movie, which it's hard to parody something like Eurovision. I'm sure you would agree.
Yeah, because it's stranger than fiction, right? You see people in these costumes, drag queens wrapped in tinfoil, and you're like, "Oh, that belongs in a movie." But no, that's actually real life, darling. This is real. It's treated like a blood sport in some countries. And it's funny, I feel like the Eurovision movie, if I was them, I would have made more fun of it. But they wanted to be respectful as not to alienate people. But I think sometimes you just embrace, the silliness, and you can poke fun of it. That's okay. It's done with love. Yeah, I think that would have gone down even better.
Yeah. If people haven't seen the movie, it's a wonderful gateway drug into the Eurovision Song Contest. And there's also a cameo by a very well-known blogger in there. How did you end up in the film?
You've got good eyes, Ernie, because blink and you'll miss me. Cut a very long story short, in Lisbon at Eurovision 2018, I was in the press room, and then all of a sudden someone comes up to me and says, "Oh, Will Ferrell would love to talk to you about Eurovision. He's researching this movie." And so I ended up meeting with Will Ferrell and Harper. Harper was starring with Will more recently, in a documentary you can watch on Netflix called Harper and Will.
Right.
But in any event, they were asking questions about Eurovision because I had written an article in the New York Times that came out that day. And yeah, we connected and then we stayed in touch. And some of the stories I told them ended up as plot lines in the movie, which is quite fun. And yeah, that's how it came about.
And just so people don't think this is niche, globally, it's an audience of about 200 million people watch and follow this.
Oh, yeah. Honestly, in so many countries, this is the biggest TV program by far. In Greece, I think it's like a 90% audience share. In Sweden, it's like an 80% audience share. So if you own a television, you're watching. The same goes with Iceland. And I think a lot of that comes down to the fact that if you're from a smaller country, it's often hard to see your culture on TV, on the big stage. Whereas those of us from the United States, we take for granted that our culture is everywhere, right?
Yeah.
You hear American pop music, you see American TV shows, no matter where you are. So this is a special opportunity for other countries to see themselves on a big stage, and they watch in the masses.
Yeah. And it also has launched quite a few careers. A few folks may recognize, of course, ABBA, Celine Dion, Olivia Newton-John participated. Maneskin won a few years ago. It has changed of recent years to be a little bit more, I would say, serious about the music. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think part of that is driven by the competition because the juries make up 50% of the votes and jurors' names are revealed. They're often like, "Whoa, I've got to stand by my vote. I've got to pick something credible. I've got to vote, with my career in mind, as opposed to voting for what they might enjoy the most." So in the past, maybe jurors would have been more generous with crazy, zany acts. But these days, I think everyone's so concerned about image on social media, within their industry. They worry about their votes being found out. So people are sometimes more conservative, but that can lead to more radio-friendly songs, right?
Yeah.
Songs that are safer for the radio. So yeah, it's good and bad because I do love zany, wacky, wackadoodle crazy, but at the same time, I get that when music goes mainstream, it's good for Eurovision because then more people see the contest.
And there's So much more we could talk about laying it out, understanding why when we start talking about the songs, we're talking about Eurovision, but we're going to mention Australia or things like that people may not understand. That we don't have time for that today. What we do have time for is looking at some of the songs that are in this year. And I'm going to start off with one that I thought, and I had texted you about this or messaged you early on, that I thought was going to be such a big hit. And it's kind of just sat in the middle of the pack. And that's from Australia, Milkshake Man. I thought that song was electric and fun and great. I'm out of touch with the rest of Europe, I guess.
I share your feelings. It is so fun. It is, how do I say this? It's silly, but it's also serious. It feels Australian. It makes you smile and laugh. The staging here in Basel, I think that is going to help get it in front of more people. He dances in front of a big milkshake. It's like a glass or plastic milkshake container. We don't yet know what will happen, but the LED behind him has ingredients, milk, fruit. Maybe that will go into this giant prop. And he portrays an infomercial salesman. So he's trying to sell you something, that milky goodness, the milkshake. And he does it with great panache. He, in the first rehearsal, removed his shirt. So there was a lot of flesh. I think he's aware of his assets, both musically and physically. So he's striving hard to get those votes however he can.
They are all over Europe. Once they have settled on all their songs about mid-March, there are a lot of pre-parties where these artists travel around the continent and put on shows singing their entry song. And when I've seen Gojo, who's the man behind the Milkshake Man, it seemed kind of like he's bored being up there. He kind of kicks it. But then I read something you wrote where you're like, in the room, he's electric.
Yeah, it's really interesting. Like when they zoom in on his face in rehearsals, you see like a sensuality, like he's owning this character. It's giving gigolo. It's giving, I don't know, it's giving male. He knows he's attractive, basically. He knows his milkshake is delicious and will bring the boys and the girls to the yard. That's the vibe he gives. But when you see at the pre-parties from a distance, it doesn't really come off as well. I think he's very much an artist who looks better with the camera cuts when you can get the humor, the tongue-in-cheek of him, and you need to see the face up close. Because you're right, the audiences at the pre-parties, they weren't vibing as hard as I would have expected them to.
Yeah.
And it's funny that you say he looked bored. I totally get that because I think he wants to act like he's drunk on a milkshake. So on stage, he's kind of wobbling, like lackadaisically across the place. But it's with the camera cuts when you see him up close, you're like, oh, I get it. You're in on the joke.
And let's not spend too much time on him, just to finish it up by saying this is Eurovision. The visuals are important in this contest. It's not just the song.
I'm so glad you said that because if this was just about the song, it'd be on the radio, right? Yeah. The fact is, TV producers are behind these 3-minute performances, and you can win Eurovision in a moment. And usually it's a visual moment. Just watch Eurovision 2016 winner Jamala. At the peak of her song, she hits a big note, and the floor goes yellow and blue, and then a big old tree forms behind her on the LED. Yellow and blue, of course, Ukraine. This was Ukraine resurgent.
Yeah. Does it really matter who else is in the competition this year, considering Sweden is here with Barabarabusta? I mean, early on, that took the lead, and it kind of has ruined the whole season for me. I can't imagine them not winning.
Oh, I hear you. I really do. It does look increasingly inevitable. I think the world's going through a lot right now, and then this song is a burst of sunshine. It's silly, it's fun, it makes you smile and laugh. There are people singing about a sauna, having a sauna outside under the stars. They've included sausages in their visuals to give it a campfire feel here in Basel. And it's just well-produced music. Swedes know how to do it, so once you hear it, you keep hearing it over and over. But I take your point. When you kind of feel like you know the winner so far in advance and it's not an underdog and it's not, someone coming out of left field, you are like, wah, wah.
Yeah, the last few years I felt like it has been like that, but there have been two contenders at the top that go back and forth and you're not sure who's going to win. This year, Sweden just seems so far ahead of the pack unless something surprising happens, and Eurovision's known for surprises. This is a done deal.
Yeah, they've kept most of the staging under wraps this year, so I have my fingers crossed that there will be some big surprise, that someone will do something truly epic. The Cypriot act won't touch the floor the entire performance. He has scaffolding and he's mimicking the Vitruvian man from the Da Vinci drawing, the man inside a circle and inside a square. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We're just going to have to wait and see.
Yeah. So today, Tuesday, is the first semifinal. They're going to lose some acts there. Thursday, there's another semifinal. They'll lose more acts there. And then on Saturday, 26 take the stage. Who are you thinking we are overlooking and not noticing that's going to come out pretty high up?
I want to say the Netherlands. This is a song that's sort of under the radar. The bookies have had the Netherlands as high as 3, but as low as 10. And I think this will be a big media story. Claude, the singer, was born in the Democratic Republic of Congo, where over the past 2 decades, millions of people have been displaced. It's one of the world's worst humanitarian crises. And he and his mother left the country when he was 9 years old. He sought asylum in the Netherlands. He arrived in the Netherlands never having attended school, not speaking Dutch. And suddenly there he was in a classroom learning in Dutch. And his song, it's C'est la vie. Everything will be fine. Life's okay. And he said his mother taught him this. And he said, I didn't always have security. I didn't always have water. But now I'm in the Netherlands and I have so much to be grateful for. So his song escapes cliche because it is his story. It's real. And he actually believes what he's singing about. I really like this. I think it's emotional the way he delivers it and also just very sweet.
Okay, I agree with you on that one. That's one of my favorites this year. One that you just can't wait just to see what they're going to do.
Ooh, Austria. Now, Austria is sending popra. Pop meets opera, and then in the final 20 seconds, it's like a techno rave. He goes wild. And the pictures we've seen have been black and white. So people think that Austria is going to give moody, atmospheric staging. There's a lighthouse you see in the background because the beginning of the song is a slow kind of love ballad, like, oh, I'm so brokenhearted. And there's this lighthouse. I think in the final 20 seconds, that lighthouse might explode. It might become a disco ball or something. We just don't know yet. And so that is definitely one to watch.
Well, and I know when they do look at the odds, he's usually in second place, JJ. But again, there's a big gap there he's got to make up for to catch up with those Swedes.
Yeah, and this goes back to your earlier point, how in recent years it's been like a two-horse race. I think the bookies want there to be a two-horse race, so people will bet on both acts, but it just doesn't feel like we have that. And so they have at times pushed JJ up. Was it inflated because they wanted more people to bet? Maybe. Does it reflect reality? We'll have to see. Maybe they know something we don't. But I think he's the other horse if there is a two-horse race.
William, thank you so much for taking time. I know this is the busiest time of the year for you, and I appreciate you always being available to us. Thank you so much.
Ernie, anything for Ernie. Thank you so much and enjoy the show.
Thanks, William.